Alright, to start this one off, we have to address something. I've gotten some comments saying that I keep complaining about them not explaining anything, while I said I was disappointed in them explaining the magic in the beginning's two-parter. Here's where I think the distinction lies. We've been in this world for a long time now. All of Airbender and Korra Season 1, bending was just an accepted facet of the world. The characters never questioned it, it was normal to them. So the audience just gets it. It doesn't need to be explained. It's just part of the world. That's why when Beginnings did explain it, I felt it made the world feel smaller, not grander. There's a loss in scope when a big question like that is answered. The same is true for spirits. In Airbender, we touched on spirits once or twice a season, and they were cool. Once again, just an accepted, real part of this living world we were experiencing. And those small moments we got with them felt important. They were cool and mysterious and felt powerful. I would have preferred if they could have kept spirits and having that vibe going forward, but the thing is that they didn't. Spirits were a cool, oft-forgotten about element of Airbender's world, but now they are front and center, in your face. We are in the shit now, ladies and gentlemen. Spirits in the spirit world and all things spirits is the vast majority of the back half of the season. They're doing it. I don't want them to do it, but they are. So I think, rather obviously, if they're doing it, despite not wanting it, I think it's more than reasonable to want them to do it well. There are huge gaps in nearly every facet of this plotline so far, from the stakes to the rules of the world to the magic system to the characters. So yeah, I'll continue to question things that seem to happen out of nowhere, or seem to create new rules with no logic, or break pre-established rules with no explanation. Because in this plot, it's important to have a solid grasp on these things. Unlike the origins of bending, which impact neither Airbender or Korra in any real way, and just serves to answer a question that no one really asked. Alright, with that diatribe out of the way, let's get to it. I have way more complaining to do thanks to this episode. I was gonna say that surely the Republic City skyline isn't kept consistent across shots from Season 1 and 2, but no, honestly, I think they do a pretty good job.
It's time to take back the physical world.
Starting with Republic City, for some reason, a location that Unalaq and Vaatu have no connection to whatsoever. It makes sense that he would threaten the rest of the background cast to up the personal stakes for the show, but does it make sense for Unalaq to start here? I guess maybe it represents progress, and he's all about tradition and having it like it was back in the old days. There might be a through line there, but he hasn't shown any distaste for Republic City directly. Maybe he saw Varric's movies and he was just furious at his portrayal. So I guess the logic is that Korra told Raiko about the horrible stuff that was going to happen, so as soon as some crazy stuff started happening in the sky, Raiko just said, "Alright, everyone to battle stations." I guess that checks out too.
And entice Kobe Bryant.
Hey, it's kind of a similar move to when Koizilla did it to all the Fire Nation ships. Anyone ever get the feeling that the creators kind of resent how beloved Airbender is, in a way?
They're going to be alright. But I need to get them into some spirit water right away.
Fucking no worries, bro. We're in the south. Oh, wait, never mind. I don't know if they have a bunch of that stuff. Then again, the north is only through that portal and then a brisk walk through the next portal, so... Oh, all water in this spirit world is spirit water? That makes sense. Am I stupid? Oh, man, now all their socks are gonna be wet for the upcoming finale. Ugh. I don't mean to be hateful or anything, but just to prioritize, maybe put Korra in the middle.
Were you able to stop Unalaq and Vaatu?
Is it a particularly we were able to stop Unalaq and Vaatu kind of vibe right now, Tenzin?
The cycle is over. I'm the last Avatar.
Are you even the Avatar? You're not shit at the moment, because Raava, they've decided for some reason, is what makes you special. I'm not even sure if you're a waterbender right now, let alone the other three. She could be a waterbender on her own, but I don't know. But the episode kind of plays around with the idea that Raava isn't what makes Korra special, despite the backstory reveal, but that's a whole worm can in and of itself. Okay, so Kaiju-Unalaq's lasers are more than just big punches. Cool, I like that. Unless it was just a really hard punch. It's interesting that Vaatu has this spirit vine ability. I wonder if he conjures them or if they are just dormantly there. This one's not me complaining. I think him having more powers is cool. I just wonder where the vines come from.
Giant vines are destroying everything! This is Shiro Shinobi signing off! Ah!
Are you... Wait, was Wan Shi Tong right?
There is a box, and inside the box there is a tiny man who sings and plays musical instruments.
Julie, commence Operation Winged Freedom!
We were already bordering on it, but we have officially entered Varric is extremely whack, not cool anymore territory.
And the legends say that its roots bind the spirit and physical worlds together.
maybe the spirit vines are literally the roots of the Tree of Time, and since Vaatu spent so much time trapped inside, he learned to manipulate them? That's why he never did this before, but does it now? Yeah, my fanfiction is coming together real nicely. Wait, blink and you miss it, Korra uses airbending to get up to the opening of the tree, meaning she can still bend all 4 elements. Despite the reasoning in the beginnings episodes being that Raava is holding the other 3 elements for one, meaning that he can bend all 4 when they are fully fused. But now, Korra, without Raava, can bend all 4 anyway. What are the rules?
What are the rules? What are the rules?
These are my memories.
I remember them all from the 3rd person for some reason. Yeah, remember when Korra saw that? Yeah, that's probably just some spiritual mumbo-jumbo vision like Aang had.
He became a legend because of who he was, not what he was. He wasn't defined by Raava any more than you are.
I like this messaging about inner strength and not being defined by any one sole thing. Honestly, you get the feeling that Korra is a little upset they did the backstory episodes as well.
But he was brave and smart and always wanted to defend the helpless.
She's like, damn, I would have been happier if I just went on not knowing. But yes, I think the messaging, the lesson is good. However, what comes of it, it's like, what the fuck?
Connect to the cosmic energy of the universe. Don't bend the elements, but the energy within yourself.
You know Aang quoted that word for word at Tenzin. He was like, that shit was crazy.
One cannot exist without the other.
Find the light in the dark.
I've always thought this was a very odd choice. To have an Unalaq quote here as Korra connects with her cosmic self just seems off, right? I know a lot of people don't think this scene is very warranted. Aang got his cosmic scene after doing a bunch of, although brief and semi-montaged, hard character work, looking deep inside himself and wrestling with things that bothered him. So it does feel a bit cheap that Korra could just sit down in a really spiritual place and just do it. This seemed like a crucial final step in mastering the Avatar state. Whatever your opinions on the pointy rock be damned, the final flashes of Aang regaining the ability are of cosmic Aang. This is a big part of it. But Korra has the Avatar state completely figured out, and this implies that she didn't get all of her chakras chiropractored by Aang in that moment or something. So this moment and Aang's moment seem to be really at odds with one another. Also, I really don't like harping on the visuals too much. I like pointing out small errors and stuff, little inconsistencies, but I only really point out when the animation as a whole is really noticeably not quite up to snuff. And for the most part, Korra looks incredible. However, this moment, just the art, if you compare Cosmic Korra to Cosmic Aang, there's just no comparison really. Cosmic Aang feels gigantic, but not just in size and scope, it's frightening. All of Aang's impossible potential visualized. And Cosmic Korra looks like big glowing Korra. So Tenzin frames this as some sort of energy bending, as if she's energy bending herself, which once again is interesting, since as far as I can tell from the lore, all of Korra's bending abilities should be tied to Raava, even though they're evidently not. And as Tenzin put it himself, when energy bending was the only way we knew how to remove bending.
That's impossible. Only the Avatar has ever possessed that ability.
What the fuck is going on?
What did you say to her exactly?
Well, that just happened. You're still doing the vine thing from 10 minutes ago? Man, the side of that building is yellow.
Korra's back! And she's a blue giant!
Fucking gotta give it to the kid. When you're right, you're right. One of my myriad problems with this is that Korra, regardless of any pep talk from Tenzin, should quite literally just be a normal person now. I know she's got all the admirable qualities he listed and whatever, but literally the avatarness has been ripped out of her, which means Korra meditating here and connecting with her cosmic self is something anyone could do, which is fine. Guru Patik and a bunch of airbenders have probably done it too. What's insane is the blue giant thing. Bolin could go sit next to her and do the exact same thing if he knew how to meditate properly. Tenzin could go in there and also become a blue giant and come help fight Unalaq, seemingly pretty easily. And I'm sure that's not the conclusion the creators want me to come to, but from the rules they have set up this season, lore that they have introduced, that is a completely reasonable conclusion to come to. And I ask you now, does anyone think that this is impossibly stupid? I get that Airbender and Korra are anime inspired, but I think that some of the best qualities of these shows is that they take the best parts of anime and leave behind find the parts that don't work. And because of that, things from anime often don't work in this world anymore. Exhibit A, the much maligned beam struggle. This does not work in this world. In a world where fights can be just as easily won through outthinking your opponent than overpowering them, this is where that feeling comes to die. The physicality and creativity and what makes the magic in this world special and stand out is lost in this finale. Lost to using energy blasts you can seemingly strain to shoot harder, just like any other action cartoon. And lame, slow, hand-to-hand combat. I don't know how anyone ever thought this was a good idea, other than thinking a kaiju battle is cool spectacle. And Airbender never did that. Airbender was stylish, but in the big moments, it was never style over substance. The last Agni Kai had sad music paired with it because it really was a sad situation. Aang's moral struggle of whether to kill Ozai wasn't just because it was a kid's show, it was because the Fire Nation took everything from him. And was Aang just going to compromise his people's beliefs? Let Ozai take that from him too? He's the last Airbender. His people are gone. And if he goes back on something his people believed, they're even more gone. In this finale, there is none of this. Korra and Kaiju Unalaq have a beam struggle because if they don't, there will be 10,000 years of darkness. And that's not even to mention, I don't know how spirit magic works at all because the show has never taken any time to explain it, but in what world does the spirit of one human, who isn't even remotely spiritually inclined, mind you, have the ability to straight up overpower the primordial spirit of darkness and chaos in a beam struggle of spirit energy? Korra clearly tangles herself in the tentacles here, which seems like a horrible move, but luckily the show decides she has not done that in the next shot. Interestingly, since these two are 300-foot tall spirit monsters right now, I guess Nickelodeon doesn't care about the physical violence rule, so punches and kicks are back on the table. So the spirit laser does... So hold on, Vatu's not here. He's not even close. He's on the other side of the world. Yet these spirits are still in dark mode, and both him and inexplicably Unalaq could only turn spirits dark in their immediate to medium vicinity. But these spirits are still dark. So does this imply that this is the 10,000 years of darkness? This purple wave from earlier? Honestly, it doesn't seem that bad. Just stay out of Vatu's way and things go on as normal. See, now this is better. Wouldn't it have been extremely whack if Bolin for some reason sent a stream of dust at the monsters? This is a hey look, it's the Avatar cycle alert. Hey look, it's the Avatar cycle. Oh god, he's doing the evil soul destroying magic. The magic that waterbenders can do for some reason. But this also brings up another point. Korra is a spirit in the physical world, which I guess answers my question from earlier. You can be a spirit in the spirit world as well. But anyway, if she's a human spirit in the physical world, why can people see her? Couldn't see Aang, and he was doing the same thing. It seems like an extremely special case though, so I guess maybe I'll let it slide. Yeah, fucking get their ass, Boomy! This might be the most egregious scene of the dark spirits just looking lame. At this point, they're just angry blobs. God damn it, I have to keep pointing it out. They did the flip kick again, and I think for the first time ever, it hit something. Huh, this is kind of cool. This background spirit we see for a split second seems to be the one, or a very similar one, that was attacking the Northern Water Tribe after Korra's dad drowned that forest.
Leave my Bolin alone!
I am so done with spirits.
Desna kind of spitting out here.
Let's face the end of the world together!
To be honest, to any female viewers I may have, this is all a man really wants in a relationship. Oh no, Korra's about to lose, and there's no conceivable way for her to be bailed out of this one. If something did, it would be completely fucked. Wah! What the fuck is going on? This is the true culmination of nothing being explained. Jinora's spirit literally appears out of the sky and fucking casts a spell or something. This utterly bewilders me. I don't even really know of anyone that defends this moment. Jinora descends from on high, glowing in heavenly light, and bails Korra out of being spiritually annihilated. Oh, but you see, this was cleverly foreshadowed and set up by nothing! Jinora is an angel that saves the day out of nowhere. I don't know how you're writing this, and you say, yes, this is what we're going with. Jinora disappears in the spirit world, vaguely, and then shows up an hour later doing this. This isn't even a breakdown in writing. This is like a complete collapse. And for some reason, Jinora casting her angelic wizard spell makes Raava enough of a presence in Vatu for Korra to recognize her and pull her out of him, playing back on the thing that Raava told Wan. So that's fine, but I just want to reiterate. We have Spirit Kaiju Korra that seems to break a bunch of pre-established rules in the world and add something completely enormous and inexplicable to them, so we can have the spectacle of the Kaiju fight, which Korra loses and then is saved by God, Jinora. That is just so completely out of nowhere, I can't even reference things that it didn't do. There's just nothing it's tied to whatsoever, which then enables Korra to rip Raava out of Vaatu. Once again, no idea why that became possible after that. And to add on top of all of that, Korra, in her spirit kaiju form, is now waterbending. It made sense when Kaiju Unalaq did it, because he's physically still Unalaq on some level, so he gets a pass. But Korra is just a spirit here, and she can still waterbend, which very clearly breaks a rule from Airbender that this series has honestly been doing a pretty good job of keeping straight so far. So after all of that utter schlock, complete nonsense, things happening for absolutely no reason, rules being shattered, Kaiju Unalaq is defeated through the golden glowing water that still has no explanation on how or why it's a thing. Kinda poetic, isn't it? Unalaq, you probably shouldn't have taught her the one thing that could feasibly defeat you in your ultimate form, right? Also, quickly, just meditate into the spirit world. Iroh did it, escaped death functionally. You're spiritual as hell, shouldn't be an issue. Okay, it's kind of funny that despite being on the brink of being overwhelmed by vicious dark spirits, Desna and Eska are still on the vibe like, I can't believe the person in front of me got the last Italian herbs and cheese. So the dark spirits got their ass for sure here, and then Korra shows up, and then they're just gone. There are particles here that look like she just purified something as she lands, so what, was this the mass purifying stomp maneuver? Hello, Father, as you can see I've ascended to godhood, somehow.
What about Korra and the others?
Don't worry. They're all right. Korra saved the world.
Don't be humble about this. She was dead to rights until you did whatever the hell you did. Man, Raava came out of that shit looking good. Girl's looking refreshed. Haven't seen you like this in ages. We did it somehow, and by somehow I mean I literally do not know how.
I will not be joining you, Bolin. Desna and I must return home.
But you said...
It's really, really sad that this is what they're doing with Bolin. They even try to treat this as if it's a somber moment that the girl that was treating him so poorly refuses to get back into a relationship with him. They made Bolin seem really unintelligent early in the season, just in the fact that he was a thundering dumbass. But this way of making him emotionally unintelligent and just completely out of touch with reality seems even more insidious for his character.
You will always hold a special place in the organ that pumps my blood.
I get that it's their vibe, but this writing, man, it's like, really?
Now that you're bonded with Raava once again, are you also reconnected to your past lives?
No.
I'm writing and recording this before the previous episode even hits Patreon, and I know people are going to be mad at me for the take where I think this is a pretty strong writing decision, and I stand by it, because when big things happen, it opens up more interesting things to happen. I think it hit appropriately hard, and now this would be a pretty cool plotline of Korra somehow re-establishing her connection. Though through great effort, hopefully, so it doesn't feel cheapened. This show didn't decide to do anything like that, but you never know for the future.
What if Unalaq was right when he said the Avatar shouldn't be a bridge between the two worlds? What if Avatar 1 made a mistake when he closed the portals?
Once again, this is another big world-changing decision, and makes it feel like this season wasn't just one big side story or a waste of time, which I like. But Korra just thinking this seems really out of nowhere. She's only seen brief, small interactions between spirits and humans that are friendly, and all others range from hostile to world-ending. It may have been different if Korra really saw that the two worlds could coexist peacefully. Maybe her chat with Iroh could have been about that instead of the really obvious advice he gave her. Since he embodies that concept, that could have tied in nicely to the overarching plot. But here, it really just seems to come to her out of nowhere. She just thinks, no, I'll keep the spirit portals open, actually, because she decided Unalaq was half right, despite everything that just happened.
I broke up with you.
I remember.
But I thought you said you lost part of your memory.
I did, but being inside the Tree of Time brought it back.
Man, could you imagine you're about to fight for the fate of the world and some weird tree showed you your boyfriend breaking up with you a week ago? It's like, fucking, come on, man.
I know I should have, but I didn't want to hurt you all over again.
I don't believe you.
I think we both know that this... us... doesn't work.
It's nice that this show is ready and mature enough to say that two characters can just be not meant for each other. It's a nice beat. And we'll just seal that with a prolonged kiss so there's no mixed signals or anything. I think this would be pretty bittersweet and effective if the first season convinced me that these two liked each other at all and Mako wasn't the worst, but alas.
The War of the Water Tribes is over. Unalaq has been defeated, and the Northern Fleet is returning home.
I guess the Civil War was just wrapped up off screen. The invading, occupying army is just gone, or there wasn't any difficulty with that. All right then.
The Southern Tribe is now independent.
Also interesting move, declaring your independence once again, now that you've made the two tribes truly neighbors, rather than being on opposite sides of the planet, now that the portals are left open.
I will no longer be the bridge. Humans and spirits must learn to live together.
Korra's speech here mirrors Wan's speech as his episodes closed out in a lot of ways, which is a nice touch.
Harmonic convergence has caused a shift in the planet's energy. I can feel it. Things will never be the same again.
Once again, they thought this was going to be the last episode of Korra while writing, and once again, sort of a weird, flat ending. Alright, let's start with this episode on its own. This episode is utterly baffling. So many huge things happen for what seems like no reason, or a horrible, ill-explained reason, and what's worse, that's most of the episode. It's like some horribly explained thing happens, and then we watch a few minutes of the episode as the repercussions of that thing happening plays out, and then just when you're kind of getting over how stupid that was, something even more stupid and unexplained happens. There's nearly no setup and payoff anywhere present in this finale. It's like how I criticized the lion turtle in Airbender. This whole journey, when it comes down to it, is Aang growing into his role as the Avatar, and they do a great job of getting him from where he starts to where he ends. The payoff for that finale is Aang is here, it's happening. So when, despite all of Aang's growth through the series, the lion turtle shows up out of nowhere and solves the problem for him, it doesn't feel right for me. This episode is like that times 100. Things happen for no reason. Massive, world-changing things just out of nowhere with no explanation, and because of them, the day is saved. I could keep going on how none of this made any sense, but you've heard enough of that. Let's move on to this season as a whole. Or should I say half a season, because when you get down to it, about half of the season was truly shit that didn't matter and will not matter in the future. Pretty much everything that happened in Republic City could be removed, and the season could basically still have the same story, which is pretty insane. A lot of people say that they should have stuck to the Civil War plot, and I agree that that was better than what we moved on to, but none of that really leapt off the screen at me either. I don't think the season would have necessarily been saved if they stuck with that. But the season really is in two halves, and that's probably why everything feels so rushed and unexplained. They were doing one plot and then said nah, and then they did the Wan episodes and just did another plot. So when you really get down to it, it might only be a quarter of a season if you look at it like that. We'll do characters really quick too. Korra starts sunken even deeper into her childish, rude mindset that she had from season 1, which makes her character feel like she's starting even further back than it should. And I know what they're trying to do. They're trying to make it so her change halfway through the season is big and noticeable. But the big problem is really that episode in which Iroh says that being mean is bad, and then she is just nice from now on. Rushed, flat, not good. Bolin is strung along as this circus act to laugh at the whole season. He ranges from so stupid he can barely function to so emotionally brain dead he gets sad when he will no longer be abused. And those two sides of his character are there just for comedy, and that's all he really gets to do other than fill screen time with Varric's movies. So that's obviously not good. Mako stays in this irritable but driven mindset he's been in since episode 1 of season 1, except he does a lot of really deplorable shit to the people that are closest to him. I do not like Mako. Unfortunately, the two sleeper hits from season 1, Tenzin and Lin, are left mostly out of the show. Tenzin doesn't get anything to do for basically the whole season other than throw a few air blasts in the last few episodes and hand out some advice. Lin has been lobotomized or something and is a shadow of her former do-it-herself badass with a good heart self. So, in an effort to not go on forever and ever, I will simply say this. This is a bad season of television. Page your shoutouts if you want to see what's up next after Overanalyzing Korra Season 2. You can support me on Patreon for just a few bucks. Link, as always, is in the description below the video. Biggest shoutouts of all go to my top patrons. Blanco, who bench pressed a hydraulic press that was trying to crush him. Jammin, who negotiated their way out of a hostage situation by convincing them they can make the world's best tiramisu. They weren't lying, this shit's good. Luna Invicta, who was the first person to develop elephant steroids, and do not fuck with them when the cycle is on. Lurfax1, who much like some life at the bottom of the ocean, can sustain themselves purely off of hydrothermal vents. Matthew Lang, who got kicked in the chest by a horse as a kid, which, little known fact, gives you +1 horsepower. Potato Scream, who lost the will to live, but gained something even more important, a mountain of gold. The former meaning of life, who was built up an immunity to cyanide by eating a handful of apple seeds a day. The 1 AM party, who can make stoplights turn green twice as fast. It's something that's pretty hard to prove, though. And Whitrow, who broke their arm just to see if they could flex out of the cast. Answer? Light work. And of course, my other fuck you money patrons, A Stack of Pancakes, Ben Misra, Donut, Gene Cree, Kevin Bartlin, Liquor Cause I Know Her, Omega Fighter, Tater of Tots, and that one Quanturian. And my god, Overanalyzers, 2 boots are beat. Aang, Alan Garvin, Andrew Jacobson, Andrew Watchett, Aropataro, Axolotl Syndicate, Bob Deff, Chandler Crump, Charles the Fartbender, Kobe Smith, Deathly Healer, Dr. Xerox, Dominic Saint, Dricker, Emma Not Emma, Aaron Grace, Fire Lizard 44, I'm a Match, Jason Gebhardt, Jackson, Jeremy Rubenstein, John Ajaka, John Warhammer, Justin Scott, Mac, Medium D Speaks, Michael Fellin, Mitchell Gobrecht, Nick, Nicholas Abbott, Peter Bayron, Pogger White, Rocket Mist, Ryan Gregorikos, Ryan Maxwell, Sandy Stormborn, Shane Antonacci, Silk Toast, Smarty Marty, Spicy Ketchup, Super Snipper, Thomas Barrett, Von Can't Spell, and some sort of bear face. Next up, who knows? Oh yeah, Sami was in this season too.